The story begins inside the ominous Silver Dragon dungeon, where two armored figures stand guard before a massive barred gate. Suddenly, the sound of high heels clicks on the stone floor as a powerful figure arrives surrounded by a faint blue aura. The guards immediately snap to attention, recognizing the newcomer and respectfully addressing her as Her Majesty. With her back to them, the woman instructs the guards to leave, expressing her desire to speak with the prisoner alone. They promptly obey, leaving the Silver Dragon Queen Roswace to face the dungeon's captive by herself. She approaches a chained man, taunting the great dragon slaying hero about how it feels to be a prisoner of the dragon clan. The defiant young man looks up from his restraints, his only request being for her to kill him. The queen smirks, amused by his bold demand, and asks if he truly wants her to grant him a quick death. Leaning in closer, she comments that it won't be that easy, adding that he is a handsome and resolute man. But then she cruelly suggests that his face would be perfect if she just added a few more scars to it. The hero grunts in pain as her sharp fingernail digs into his cheek, drawing blood from the new wound. He tells her to stop the humiliation, urging her to just kill him or chop him up as she pleases, but to do it quickly. She reveals that if he hadn't been framed by a villain, he wouldn't be in this state, then offers him a place in her clan. A smirk appears on the hero's face as he looks her in the eye and defiantly asks if she is even worthy of him. Her smug expression vanishes in an instant, completely shocked and stunned by his bold and unexpected response. By his audacity, the queen violently kicks the hero, sending him flying into the dungeon wall with tremendous force. The impact leaves the prisoner coughing up blood amidst a cloud of dust, clearly injured but still defiant. She immediately pins him down with her leg, furiously questioning how a mere captive dares to be rude to her. Calling him Leon Cosmode, she asks if he still thinks he's a great hero who can wipe out the dragon clan. With a cruel smirk, she tells the ignorant loser to wake up, informing him that he is going to die right here. She continues to taunt him, saying he could have had descendants to enjoy glory, but now that chance is gone. She calls it an interesting idea, but cruelly reminds him that he has no successor, so that day will never come. Despite the pain, Leon glares back and sternly warns Roswace not to underestimate humans. In response, her long scaly dragon tail whips around and begins to wrap tightly around his neck. Effortlessly lifting him into the air, the queen remarks on how stubborn he is while choking him. The hero gasps for air, his hands desperately at the powerful tail, cutting off his breath. With his vision fading, the young man manages to force out her name one more time. Believing he is finally broken, she asks with a smirk if he is now ready to beg for mercy. To her surprise, he tells her she has made two huge mistakes from the very beginning of their encounter. The queen looks confused as he explains her first mistake, being alone with the world's most powerful dragon slayer. He continues, stating her second mistake was that she should never have tasted his blood. His eyes flare with a menacing red light as he roars for her to feel the effects of his blood. The queen's eyes widen in shock as she realizes she's been hit with a potent blood curse. As the curse takes hold, Leon easily breaks free from her tail, which has gone limp around him. Roswace stumbles backward, her body already reacting to the powerful magic now coursing through her veins. She begins to blush and sweat, complaining about a sudden intense heat overwhelming her senses. Losing her strength, she collapses to her knees, wondering why her body is betraying her like this. Still flushed and confused, she can only question what on earth is happening to her as the feeling intensifies. The hero explains that she will now live her entire life in pain brought on by her very soul. She grits her teeth, sweat dripping from her face as she endures the agonizing effects of his curse. But then, to his complete surprise, she suddenly lunges forward and throws herself at him. She violently pins him against the dungeon wall, her face a strange mix of agony and aggression. Leon is utterly confused by this turn of events, unable to understand what is happening with her. Her flushed face and heavy breathing, realizing the curse isn't just pain. It's arousing her. Overwhelmed by the curse's maddening effects, the queen leans in and kisses him passionately. The young hero is caught completely off guard, his eyes wide with shock as the kiss deepens. An hour later, discarded clothes and broken shackles lay scattered across the stone floor of the dungeon. The queen slowly regains her senses, her dazed eyes still glowing with a faint red light from the curse. She sits up in a daze, attempting to cover herself as she struggles to understand her own state. Falls upon Leon, and her confusion immediately twists into pure unadulterated fury. She furiously screams at him, demanding to know what he has done to her as he sits calmly against the wall. He explains it's a blood curse, a technique creating a soul bond that will put her in endless pain when he dies. She dismisses it as nonsense, arguing if the spell activates after his death, it doesn't explain what just happened. He admits it was an accident, saying he never expected the curse's side effect was to make her aroused. Humiliated and enraged, the dragon queen screams at him to shut up, her face beat red with embarrassment. But the hero just smirks, casually reminding her that dragons are known to be monogamous creatures. He spells it out for her: she can never take another mate or have offspring, dooming her bloodline forever. He mockingly reminds her how she taunted him about having no successor, but now she is in the exact same boat. The queen erupts in a storm of blue energy, calling him a bastard for what he has done. Unfazed, he asks if she wants to kill him, adding that she won't have to since he will die on his own very soon. He tells her to live with hatred and pain as that is his curse to her as a human being. The queen is left speechless, recomposing herself as she silently processes the gravity of her new reality. She confronts him again, calling his revenge despicable and questioning why he still wants to die. Refusing to grant him an easy end, she exclaims that his life can't be so cheap after what he's done. In a flash of blue light, she places a powerful life-preserving seal on his chest, ensuring he cannot die. The scene shifts, revealing Leon Cosmode's past when he was once known as a legendary dragon-slaying hero. A flashback shows that even at 5 he was fearless, protecting a girl from a vicious dog before being taken as an apprentice. His immense talent led him to the Imperial Dragon Slayer Academy at age 10, where he excelled beyond all peers. By 15 he was already a war hero, slaying countless dragons and reclaiming territory for the Empire. He eventually became the strongest hero in history, the one who finally led the Empire to victory in the Great War. However, his life of glory ended when he was captured by the Dragon Clan, where he remained for 2 years. Suddenly, Leon screams and jolts awake in bed as if breaking free from a horrible nightmare. He gasps for air, his heart pounding as the vivid memories of the dungeon feel all too real. Clutching his chest in confusion, he struggles to understand if what he experienced was real or just a dream. He looks around and finds himself not in a prison cell, but in a luxurious bedroom, wondering where he is. Just then, a slight creaking sound catches his attention as the bedroom door slowly begins to open. He turns to see a small, adorable girl with unique black and white hair peeking at him from the doorway. With a bright smile, the little girl cheerfully greets him, noticing that he is finally awake. Leon is completely stunned by her overwhelming cuteness, his face blushing as he blurts out his thoughts aloud. He clutches his head, trying to make sense of the situation, concluding that he must be in heaven for his good deeds. Convinced of his theory, he points at the child and calls her a legendary angel, but the girl seems confused. He kneels down to her level with a warm smile and gently asks the little angel for her name. The girl happily introduces herself to him, cheerfully saying that her name is Mune. He thinks it's a lovely name, but internally questions her strange hair color, a mix of black and white. She explains her mom said it means the moon, which prompts Leon to wonder if angels have mothers. Introduces himself as Leon Cosmode, and Moon excitedly shouts that she knows Leon means lion. Surprised by her knowledge, he asks who told her that, and she happily replies that her mom did. A sudden horrifying realization starts to dawn on him, and he hesitantly asks about her mother's identity. The child innocently reveals that her mother's name is Roswace, causing Leon to freeze in utter shock. The implications hit him all at once. If her mother is Roswace, then he must be her father. The little girl beams with excitement, cheerfully confirming his horrified realization by shouting that he is her father. The shocking confirmation sends a jolt through Leon's entire body, his mind completely blanking out from the sheer horror. He stumbles backward onto the floor, clutching his head as he processes that this little girl is his and Roswace's child. Suddenly, his attention is drawn toward the doorway as he senses a familiar and powerful presence approaching. Mune excitedly runs to her mother, the Silver Dragon Queen, and tells her that Dad is finally awake. Roswace looks down at Leon with a triumphant smirk, calmly stating that he has finally woken up. Their daughter adds that her mom must be very happy since she came to visit him every single day while he was asleep. The Queen agrees with a strained smile, but Leon internally scoffs, thinking that only an idiot would believe that lie. She gently pats Mune on the head and sends her out to play, saying she has something to discuss with her father. Once they are alone, Leon confronts her and she confirms that Mune is in fact their biological daughter. As she speaks, her tail wags, slightly betraying an emotion that contradicts the hatred he knows she feels for him. He demands to know why she would save him and give birth to their child when she clearly despises him. She retorts that he has been asleep for 2 years, asking if he really expected her to just let him go after that. Leon angrily shouts that they are different and can't coexist, insisting that he would never touch her by choice. She leans in close with a seductive smirk, mockingly asking if touching her is also a form of torture for him. Before he can react, her scaly tail whips around his leg, trapping him completely. With incredible strength, she easily flips him over and throws him down onto the luxurious bed. He struggles against her hold, demanding to know what she is about to do to him now. Instead of answering, the Queen forcefully rips his shirt open, leaving his chest completely exposed. A purple magic circle glows in her hand as she reveals her intent to carve her own dragon pattern onto his skin. She presses the spell to his chest, declaring that this mark will be his shame, making him her prisoner forever. The Queen smirks, wondering aloud how his fellow humans will see him as a hero or as a traitor to his kind. Writhing under the searing magic, Leon grits his teeth and asks her why she has to go to such an extreme. She leans closer, asking if he really doesn't understand the dragon race's extreme and paranoid concept of revenge. Her true desire is revealed. She wants him to live the rest of his life in shame, severely humiliated by her. He feels a strange sensation from the mark, which for her is a great honor, but for him a deep humiliation. Holding his chin, she tells him it's time to begin starting her unique and twisted form of dragon revenge. The scene then transitions, showing the grand and majestic silver dragon castle under a clear blue sky. On the castle grounds, two maids gossip, noting that the queen is in a good mood because her husband finally woke up. Leon overhears their conversation, internally fuming that Roswis actually announced to the public that he was her husband. Leon internally complains about the past few days, lamenting how the queen completely exhausted him for a whole day and night. Filled with fiery determination, he clenches his fist, vowing that he will never stay here and become her personal plaything. He begins to plan his escape, but immediately finds the castle's side gate heavily guarded by 4 powerful dragon knights. Peeking from behind a wall, he realizes that forcing his way through the guarded side door is simply not an option. However, he finds it strange that there are so few guards around, making the quiet castle feel completely different from 2 years ago. While scanning the perimeter for a weak point, his eyes suddenly land on something unexpected at the base of the wall. He pushes aside some overgrown bushes and discovers a crudely dug hole, wondering where it could have come from. Cautiously looking into the dark tunnel, he can't shake the feeling that this convenient escape route might be a trap. Frustrated, he decides he can't waste time hesitating and resolves to push forward no matter what lies ahead. He says a silent goodbye to the perverted dragon queen and his cute daughter Moon, whom he has to leave behind for now. But as he prepares to crawl through the hole, he's completely unaware that his little daughter is watching his every move. Moon excitedly points at him from a balcony, telling her mom that her dad is digging a cool, all-dog hole to escape. Lounging nearby, Roswis calmly watches the scene unfold, agreeing with a smirk that his attempt is pretty awesome. Her daughter then tugs on her arm, innocently asking when she is going to go and fish her dad back. The queen gently corrects the child, telling her that using a word like fish to describe her father is very rude. Moon tilts her head in confusion and innocently asks what word she should use instead. With wit and confident smirk, the queen tells her daughter the correct term is to catch him back. After some time, Leon finally escapes the castle grounds and makes his way through a dense mountain forest. He pushes himself forward, knowing that he just needs to get over these mountains to reach human territory. Believing he has run far enough, he stops for a moment, thinking the female dragon won't be able to catch him now. But just as he feels a flicker of hope, a shadow passes over him and a powerful presence makes him freeze. He looks up in horror and shouts her name as he sees Roswis circling above him in her full dragon form. She dives down towards him with incredible speed, mockingly commenting on what a good runner he is. Her massive tail whips past him in a blur, narrowly missing as she lands with a ground, shaking thud. Towering over the dragon slayer, she asks with a smug tone if it must be fun to play with her like this. The dragon queen admits she is satisfied, but asks if he really thought his escape was too smooth, hinting she let him go. Leon glares back, admitting he knew it was a trap, but didn't expect her to catch up to him so quickly. She leans in, asking what he thinks will happen if he returns to human lands with her mark on his chest. He defiantly declares that he will simply start his life over as an ordinary person, which is better than her torture. Calling him ungrateful, the massive dragon unleashes a powerful attack, done with her little game of cat and mouse. But instead of attacking, she simply snatches him up in her massive claw, leaving him completely helpless. She then soars into the sky with him, mockingly saying she will help him get back since he wants to go so badly. After flying for 3 hours, they finally arrive near a border city of the human empire under the night sky. Without any warning, the dragon queen suddenly lets him go, sending him screaming towards the dark forest below. He crashes violently through the dense treetops, the branches slowing his fall, but not by much. The hero finally slams into the ground with a painful thud, creating a small crater from the sheer force of the impact. He slowly pushes himself up, clutching his head and groaning from the pain of the rough landing. As his senses return, he looks around his surroundings, and a flicker of recognition appears in his eyes. He stumbles to the edge of a clearing and is shocked to see the faint lights of a town in the distance. He can hardly believe his eyes, wondering if he has truly made it back to a human settlement. Suddenly confirms that it is the human empire as Roswis appears behind him in her human form. She asks if seeing this long-lost human town makes him feel like he can simply return to his old world. With a smirk, she reminds him that he can't go back even if it seems so close at hand now. Suddenly, Leon is shocked as the dragon pattern on his chest begins to glow with a strange purple light. The queen reveals she forgot to mention that if one marked person desires the other, the mark creates a reaction. She whispers that he must feel hot and itchy, unable to bear the urge, while he grits his teeth, asking if she wants to do this here. The queen confirms, cruelly explaining that she wants him to understand shame right in front of his hometown. He clutches his chest, defiantly asking if she really thinks this cheap trick will be enough to break his spirit. Grabbing her arm tightly, he vows to patiently wait for his chance to repay her double for this humiliation. For a moment, his unwavering defiance seems to surprise her, leaving her momentarily speechless. She quickly covers her composure, giving him a sly smile and simply saying, "Oh, okay." She leans in close, whispering into his ear that she'll be waiting for him to try whether he's dead or alive. The scene shifts, showing a massive ancient tree under the moonlight where their confrontation has concluded. After some time, the queen sits against the tree looking completely content and satisfied with the outcome. She stands over the exhausted hero, telling him she was very satisfied with his performance just now. Teasing smirk, she suggests bringing him here every month to visit his so-called hometown. Leon sits up, calling her a simple, minded dragon, accusing her of only thinking about how to drain him. Unfazed, she turns to leave, saying their daughter is waiting for them back at the castle. But just as she's about to depart, he calls out for her to wait, causing her to pause and look back. He stands with renewed pride, declaring that as a dragon slayer he will walk back himself, not be carried like prey. She tells him it's a 3-hour flight for her, but a human would need at least 10 days to walk back to the castle. With a wicked smirk, she accepts his challenge, saying she's eager to see just how long his human endurance will last. After just a short while, the hero is already breathing heavily as he pushes his way through the dense forest foliage. Sweat drips down his face as he pants, clearly exhausted from the long and strenuous journey on foot. The queen appears behind him, mockingly asking if he's too tired to walk. He stubbornly denies it, claiming he's fine. She scoffs at his pride, remarking that the only thing tough about him is his stubborn mouth, which only angers him more. Suddenly, both of them stop their bickering as the sound approaching hoofbeats catches their full attention. Peeking through the trees, Leon is shocked to see a mounted patrol from his old unit, the Dragon Slayer army. A glimmer of hope appears in his eyes as he thinks these soldiers might be able to help him finally defeat the dragon. However, he immediately hesitates when he sees the menacing glare on the queen's face, her eyes promising retribution. He quickly realizes his mistake. If he calls for help, Roswis would slaughter his former comrades without a second thought. The patrol leader spots them in the darkness and calls out, ordering his men to halt and assess the situation. Getting closer, the kind soldier politely asks the pair if they happen to be lost in the dangerous forest at night. Thinking fast, Leon casually says they're just hanging out, determined not to drag innocent people into his mess. The soldier warns them about dangerous animals in the area and kindly offers them a ride to safety. The soldier introduces himself as Walker, the captain of the squadron of the Imperial Dragon Slayer army. Leon quickly rejects the offer, waving his hands and insisting they can protect themselves, hoping they will leave. The captain squints, telling Leon he looks very familiar and asking if they have met somewhere before. At the risk of being discovered, Roswasi's eyes flare with killing intent, ready to eliminate the soldiers. Leon senses the danger, seeing her hand glow with purple energy, and realizes he has to stop her. Without a second thought, he grabs her hand, extinguishing the deadly spell before she can attack. He then pulls her into a hug, telling the captain that he has him mistaken for someone else. He whispers to the queen, promising to return obediently if she'll just help him get rid of his old comrades. Seeing the intimate embrace, the captain is completely fooled by their convincing performance. Walker laughs, apologizes for disturbing their private moment, and quickly waves his patrol onward. Roswis watch silently as the Dragon Slayer patrol finally rides off into the distance. The moment they are gone, the queen's face turns cold as she asks if he has hugged her for long enough. She then forcefully shoves him away, clearly annoyed by his quick thinking and physical contact. She admits that he was smart not to ask the soldiers for help, though she is still clearly irritated. The queen reminds him of his position, saying that even with a child, it doesn't make her his wife. The queen turns to leave, reminding the exhausted hero that they still have a long way to go on foot. As she walks away, Leon suddenly clutches his wrist, groaning in pain as his body finally reaches its limit. He reaches out a trembling hand, his strength failing him as she continues to walk away without a glance. To her surprise, he suddenly collapses face first onto the forest floor, completely unconscious from the ordeal. The Dragon Queen looks down at his still form, scoffing at the fact that he actually fainted from exertion. Surrounded by a powerful purple aura, she calls him a fragile human being, disappointed by his lack of stamina. Done with the charade, she effortlessly grabs his unconscious body by the back of his shirt to carry him. She then transforms into a massive dragon-like creature and casually tosses him high into the air, squarely on her massive back, now secured for the long and unwilling flight back to the castle. She decides to take this as a plea for mercy and soars into the sky, finally heading back to her domain. Sometime later, they finally arrive back at the magnificent and imposing Silver Dragon Castle in the daytime. The hero groans as he slowly begins to wake up, once again finding himself back in the same fancy bedroom. He opens his eyes to see his daughter Moon at his bed, cheerfully exclaiming that he is finally awake. Confused, he asks how he got back, and Moon happily explains that her mom was the one who brought him. He then remembers being carried like helpless prey, fuming that she treated him like a simple catch. As he sits up, the hero notices a neatly tied bandage around his wrist, looking at it with slight confusion. Moon proudly points to her handiwork, happily telling her dad that she was the one who bandaged it for him. He recalls that dragons are known to be ferocious, but his daughter, despite her dragon traits, is different. He wonders if her gentle nature is because she is a human-dragon hybrid, since she shows him no hostility at all. A warm smile appears on his face as he pats her head, praising her for being awesome, which makes the little girl giggle. He tells his daughter she's cute, but warns her not to grow up to be like her mother, leaving Moon looking puzzled. A voice from the doorway asks what's wrong with being like her, causing Leon to jump in surprise as Roswace enters. He quickly stammers that it's nothing, trying to avoid her anger as she approaches with a tray in her hands. Myun runs to her mother proudly, reporting that she bandaged her dad's wound just like she was instructed. The queen dismisses her daughter's effort with a cold tone, saying these are just things she should be doing. Her daughter obediently agrees, while Leon internally remarks on what a strict and demanding mother she is. To get some time alone with the queen, he suggests a game of hide and seek, telling Myun to go hide in the garden. Moon's eyes light up with pure joy as she excitedly asks if her dad really wants to play a game with her. He gently pushes her towards the door, reassuring her that he's not like her mother and will definitely play. As his daughter runs off, Leon starts counting, immediately prompting her to yell for him not to count so fast. He continues counting as his daughter happily scampers out of the room, leaving him alone with the queen. As soon as Myun is gone, he turns to Roswace with a serious expression, demanding her full attention. Getting straight to the point, he confronts her, asking if she thinks she is being too hard on their young child. The queen calmly explains that this is how all dragons are raised, as strictness is the only way to cultivate strong warriors. He argues that Myun is half human, but Roswace coldly retorts that calling a dragon cute is a derogatory term. With a defiant smirk, the hero then cheekily tells the intimidating dragon queen that he thinks she is pretty cute too. His flippant and playful comment clearly strikes a nerve as a flash of pure annoyance crosses her face. In an instant, she completely loses her composure and her hand shoots out, grabbing a fistful of his shirt. She pulls him close, furiously reminding him he is just a slave for her to vent on and should know his place. Her sudden and aggressive outburst leaves the hero momentarily stunned and at a complete loss for words. She explains that as the queen, she has many government affairs, so taking care of their child is now his task. Leaning in with a knowing smirk, she adds that it's a fitting role for him, especially since their kid already likes him. The scene then transitions to the beautiful and serene castle garden where their daughter is currently hiding. Leon walks through the garden, sarcastically muttering about the irony of a dragon slayer taking care of a child. His sarcastic thoughts are suddenly cut short as he stops in his tracks, looking slightly surprised by something. He quickly spots Myun peeking from behind a pillar, thinking to himself how naive her hiding spot is. With a playful grin, the hero points directly at her, shouting that he has finally found her. However, instead of laughing or running, the little girl just stands there silently, her expression unreadable. Leon notices that his daughter isn't smiling, and a closer look reveals something is wrong. She is actually pouting with a grumpy face, leaving him wondering if he somehow made her angry. He scratches his head and apologizes for taking so long, thinking he must have kept her waiting. But before he can finish his sentence, his daughter suddenly turns and starts running away from him. A shocked Leon calls out to her, completely confused by her sudden and unexpected reaction. He watches her disappear down the garden path, wondering where she went after he just found her. The hero sighs, realizing that trying to predict the mood of a child is harder than fighting a dragon. He now understands why Roswace was so quick to give him the task of taking care of their daughter. Just then, Myun leaps onto his back from behind, shouting that she finally caught her dad. Completely baffled, he asks why she's back after she just ran away from him a moment ago. The girl explains that since her dad couldn't find her, she had to come out and find him instead. Her strange logic leaves the hero utterly confused, wondering if he misunderstood the whole situation. Myun tells her dad she has something to show him, leading him deeper into the beautiful castle garden. However, she suddenly stops, her face becoming serious as she turns to face him with an intense gaze. The scene shifts to a serene poolside area in the garden where the atmosphere is calm and peaceful. Sometime later, Myun is happily humming to herself, fully absorbed in her creative activity. She is sitting at a small table, diligently drawing with a set of colorful markers, her dad watching over her. Leon watches her with a soft smile, thinking how wonderful it is to have a daughter and feeling his soul being healed. He internally vows to help her escape from her mother's clutches so she can have a happier life. The little girl finishes her drawing and excitedly shows her dad the family portrait she just made. He looks at the childish drawing, but something immediately stands out, leaving him utterly confused. He points to the picture and asks his daughter why there are two kids in her family portrait. The hero is completely floored when his daughter nonchalantly tells him that the other kid is her sister. It turns out he didn't just hit the target with one shot, he actually hit it twice, resulting in twins. He finally understands why the other girl was angry, realizing he had mistaken her for Myun. But Myun reassures him, saying her sister isn't angry, just a little bit shy around their dad. He muses that it's normal for them to be unfamiliar since they haven't had a chance to meet properly. Sits alone in the garden, blaming the dragon queen for hiding his other child from him all this time. Meanwhile, inside her study, Roswace is trying to read while a small red dragon-like creature makes noises nearby. The creature flutters onto her shoulder, interrupting her reading and making her look up with a hint of annoyance. Suddenly, the hero bursts into the room without knocking, startling the small dragon as he shouts the queen's name. He asks where Myun is, and Roswace calmly explains that she has gone off to play with her older sister. He angrily confronts her, asking when she was planning on telling him that he had another older daughter. The queen simply smirks condescendingly, asking if he hadn't already figured out the situation by now. He changes his tone, sarcastically thanking her for giving birth to 2 children and working so hard for him. Her expression darkens at his promise to one day write name in his family tree when he returns to the empire. She leans back, finally asking if he wants to know the real reason she kept his eldest daughter a secret from him. He accuses her of being jealous of his bond with Moon and deliberately keeping their other daughter Noo away. Seems a bit taken aback by his accusation, asking why he is so incredibly anxious to see her. He scoffs, saying of course he wants to meet his daughter and build a good relationship, unlike her cold methods. With a mischievous smile, she agrees to his request, but cryptically warns him not to regret his decision. The scene then cuts to a large sunlit kitchen, implying that this is where the fateful meeting will happen. With a knife in hand, the hero grins mischievously, ready to put his plan into action to win over his family. His first step to get closer to his eldest daughter is to win her over with delicious food, so he starts cooking. He decides to make a cream stew, a familiar dish he knows is both delicious and well suited for children. After a quick taste, he proudly confirms that his cooking skills are still as sharp as ever, not rusty at all. Moon enthusiastically cheers him on, confidently declaring that her sister Noo will definitely love his cooking. Meanwhile, 2 maids watch the scene unfold from a window, humming in approval of his fatherly actions. They gossip about the prince being a good family man, cooking for his children right after recovering from a serious illness. Just then, Her Majesty arrives with Moon and her older sister Noo, and the maids quickly bow in respect. The queen kindly dismisses the maids for the evening, telling them to go and rest instead of waiting for dinner. As they enter the dining hall, Leon greets them with a warm smile, saying they've arrived just in time. He explains that since he heard they both love meat, he specially prepared a stew and steak just for them. He turns to Noo with a hopeful smile, asking if she can feel the sincere feelings he put into the meal. However, his elder daughter simply turns her head away with a cold humph, completely ignoring his gesture. Her icy reaction leaves him completely bewildered, wondering why this is so different from what he expected. He glares at Rosweis, realizing she must have known this would happen and let him fail on purpose. The queen tells her elder daughter that this is their first formal meeting and she should introduce herself. The child reluctantly agrees. The girl introduces herself as Noo, the eldest daughter of the queen, stating she is just over a year old. He politely introduces himself as Leon Cosmode, her father, hoping make a good first impression on his other daughter. However, his elder daughter's only response is a flat and completely emotionless, showing no reaction at all. He wonders why the child is so cold towards him, questioning if she already holds a grudge against her absent father. Moon whispers to her sister, gently urging her to talk more and not to embarrass their dad during their first meeting. But Noo just crosses her arms unimpressed as she questions if this weak-looking man could really be their father. Her brutally honest words hit him like a physical blow, leaving the hero completely crushed by his own daughter's assessment. Clutching his chest in pain, he sarcastically mutters about his filial daughter as his new career as a father faces its first crisis. Should be a warm family dinner has become a torturous moment for him, with an awkward silence hanging in the air. The 2 daughters look similar, but their personalities are complete opposites, with Noo clearly taking after her cold mother. Trying to break the ice, Leon turns to his elder daughter and hopefully asks if she is enjoying the food he prepared. Noo gives him a cold glare and delivers her one-word review of his cooking, disgusting, striking another blow to his pride. Unable to contain herself, the Dragon Queen covers her mouth as she tries to hide her amusement at his complete failure. Moon asks why she's so happy, and the queen lies, saying she's overjoyed to see their father finally reunited with his family. At the dinner table, the white-haired woman looks at Leon and asks why he isn't smiling, her tone laced with suspicion. Leon forces a laugh, assuring her he's happy to be there with his family, though his expression says otherwise. His young daughter Noo then asks if he can have dinner with them every day. The man hesitates, internally dreading the idea. She instantly rejects his unspoken reluctance with a firm no, and a pout, her bright eyes narrowing. The girl then asks why not, explaining her desire to study at the Young Dragon Department of St. Heth Academy. The woman points out that the academy is for very young dragons, questioning why Noo is so eager to enroll. With fiery determination, Noo declares she wants to defeat more dragon slayers, causing her father to choke in disbelief. Wiping his mouth, the hero realizes his own daughter's ambition is to one day defeat him, a renowned dragon slayer. He tries to talk her down, saying that dragon slayers are brave and she's too young and could get hurt. Noo gets angry, telling him not to treat her like a child. He internally screams back that she is in fact a child. The white-haired woman smirks, saying Noo's idea is good. The sooner she learns, the sooner she can fight a dragon slayer. She turns to Leon, challenging him to give a good reason why Noo shouldn't go to school, trapping him with her words. The man feels cornered. He knows that if he objects, Noo will only resent him more, so he must be careful. As he sits defeated, he finally connects the dots. Looking at the woman beside him, he understands her manipulative plan. He realizes she is using his own daughter to mentally attack him during dinner, a truly cruel and calculated move. The hero glares at his companion, internally vowing revenge. She smugly declares the matter settled and that he will help Noah prepare. The young girl nods eagerly in agreement, telling her mother she understands. As the family dinner concludes, one of the sisters points to the other's full belly, noting how round it is. Leon suddenly calls out Roswisi's name, getting her attention as she starts to leave the room. He points to the messy table, stating that the plates haven't been cleaned, yet she looks back at him, puzzled by his comment. Haired woman simply tells him to let the servants handle the chore. However, the hero smiles and explains that a couple washing the dishes together is the right way to end a family dinner. Leaning in, he asks if she wants to create a harmonious atmosphere for the kids, even if it's just for show. She glances over at the hopeful children, who are looking forward to seeing their parents act like a family. Seeing she has no choice, she lets out a sigh and reluctantly agrees with his plan. Moon, the younger daughter, gets excited and declares that she wants to help them clean up too. Just as she volunteers, a hand suddenly grabs onto her, stopping her from moving forward. It's her sister Noel pulling her away. Moon cries out in surprise, asking where they are going. With the children gone, the kitchen is quiet, leaving a pile of dirty dishes waiting in the sink. Draped in a towel, Roswis turns to Leon with an annoyed look, asking when he's actually going to start helping. With his arms crossed, Leon smirks and asks Roswis if she's forgotten what he told her 2 years ago. He reminds her of his warning: one should never be alone with a highly trained and powerful dragon slayer. Alarmed, she asks what he intends to do as he blocks her path, a dark aura flaring up around his body. The hero explains that last time he was exhausted and controlled by her dragon pattern, but now things are different. She transforms, her dragon tail appearing, and warns him not to think he can escape with a simple trick. As she lashes out with her powerful tail, he catches it, effortlessly stopping her attack in its tracks. Holding it firmly, he asks who said anything about running away, a confident smile on his face. The unexpected move catches her completely off guard, causing her to let out a surprised cry. Her body goes weak and she collapses to her knees, suddenly powerless and vulnerable before him. He explains that he learned from her book that her tail is a sensitive weak point, rendering her helpless. Leaning in close, he taunts her, asking if dragons who love to conquer have ever been conquered themselves. His question hits her hard, leaving her speechless and blushing, her eyes wide with shock. She pants heavily, completely overwhelmed by the sudden reversal of power and her own vulnerability. Still on the floor, she weakly begs him to let go of her tail, her usual composure completely shattered. The hero reminds her that since he woke up, she has trampled his dignity and treated him like nothing but a toy. He then proposes they switch roles for the night, earning him a furious glare as she calls him a bastard. He maintains his grip on her tail. She's left utterly shocked and powerless, unable to retaliate. Meanwhile, two maids stand outside the door, whispering and wondering if the queen has finished her family time. They enter the kitchen and are stunned to find it completely clean, questioning if the prince was the one who did it. One of them holds up a spotless plate with a smile, amazed at how pristine everything looks. Inside the room, Leon hears their voices and pauses, listening intently to the conversation outside. He quickly covers her mouth, telling her to be quiet. He whispers that she wouldn't want the maids to find her like this. The door remains shut, concealing the tense standoff between the hero and the overpowered queen from prying eyes. The queen's eyes burn with fury and humiliation, but she forces herself to stay silent to avoid being discovered. The devilish grin, he tells his dear wife that they can finally get started now that they have privacy. He lets out a satisfied scoff while she can only look on, seemingly resigned to her fate for now. Her gaze is filled with a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, now that she is completely at his mercy. 3 days pass. The scene shifts to a bright morning at the beautiful, sprawling castle. His daughters stand by his bed. He hasn't woken up in days, and one asks if her father might be dead. The other girl decides to take action and pinches her father's cheek hard, making him cry out in pain. No stands on her father's chest, confirming he's not dead. He groans internally, wondering who treats their father this way. As he groggily opens his eyes, one of his daughters lets out a surprised yelp, startled to see him awake. She excitedly shouts to her mother that he's awake. Leon sits up, dazed and trying to recall when he passed out. Roswis looks at him from her vanity, a smug smile on her face. She mockingly asks if he needs help remembering. A sudden flashback hits him. He remembers his dragon pattern was nullified, and she took the chance to beat him senseless. He sits on the bed, watching her, thinking that she is a cruel dragon. An ordinary person would have died from her attacks. But as he gazes at her, he can't help but notice her beauty, even though she's a dragon over years old. His daughters see him staring. One asks why he isn't moving, while the other concludes he's just stunned by their mother. At that moment, Roswis accidentally knocks a hair accessory from her vanity, looking surprised as it falls. Before she can react, the hero quickly moves and picks up the delicate ornament from the floor. He then gently places the flower accessory in her hair, telling her that it looks quite suitable on her. Surprised by his considerate gesture, she asks if he has ever done this for other women before. He smirks, explaining that as a kid he often calmed his master's donkey and became quite skilled at it. His cheeky comment immediately piques his daughter's curiosity, and she asks him what a donkey is. Leon playfully explains that donkeys are like stubborn dragons making funny faces to entertain his little girl. He finishes his sentence by saying donkeys are just like their mother earning a sharp side eye from Roswis. She immediately slugs him in the gut, sending him staggering back with a cry of pain. Daughters rush to his side asking if he's okay. He clutches his stomach and weakly insists that he's fine. The queen then assigns him a new task, teaching their daughters how to write their names. Leon glares angry at her command. Moon, however, is ecstatic, cheering that her dad will teach them to write no, just as she already knows how. Moon then excitedly suggests they go to the study room to find colorful pens, asking her sister what color she wants. As the girls run off, Roswis informs Leon that her sister is visiting and she doesn't want him to appear. Leon looks surprised, questioning why she won't even let him meet her family after all this time. She gets close and reminds him of the cover story she created for him, a fake identity to hide who he truly is. Her words are a sharp reminder of his current situation, a male dragon who married into her clan and just woke from a coma. She warns him that if they have to meet, he'll have to play along with the role she created for him. He looks at her for a moment, then with a steely gaze agrees to her terms, saying he understands. As she walks away, he thinks to himself that he has no intention of simply obeying her like a puppet. He smirks, secretly plotting to embarrass her in front of her own sister. Later in the sunlit children's study at Silver Dragon Castle, the lesson is about to begin. Sits with his daughters in the study, patiently demonstrating how to hold a pen and write. He presents them with paper, having written their names as examples for them to copy and practice. No, however, looks at her work and complains that her father's handwriting isn't as good as her mother's. Moon asks what he's doing, and he quickly claims he forgot to give something to their mother and needs to go. Waving from the doorway, he tells them he'll be back soon, but Noah watches him leave with a skeptical look. Moon seems cheerful about the break, but her sister sternly tells her to get back to writing quickly. With her father gone, Noah looks down at her paper, a slight blush appearing on her cheeks as she thinks. Meanwhile, at the Silver Dragon Castle gate, a grand procession announces the arrival of an important guest. The visitor is Isha Melk, the Red Dragon Queen, radiating an aura of power and authority. As she approaches, Roswis greets her warmly, and the two sisters embrace, overjoyed to see each other after so long. The Red Dragon Queen compliments her sister on her healthy appearance, though Roswis seems a bit flustered. Then asks why she can't see Roswis's husband, having heard that he recently woke up. Roswis quickly lies, saying he's unwell. Her sister is disappointed, wanting to meet the man who took her away. The Red Dragon Queen teases her, saying that getting married and having a baby so quickly must mean their relationship is good. Flustered, Roswis blurts out that she isn't attracted to him and never will be, her face flushed with denial. The Red Dragon Queen smirks, remarking that her sister is still as tough and stubborn as she's always been. Roswis laughs, changing the subject by suggesting they take a walk in the garden to catch up properly. From a distance, someone watches the two sisters through a circular lens as they stroll arm in arm. The perspective pulls back to reveal Leon spying on them from a window with a telescope, identifying the guest. He smiles mischievously to himself, deciding it's the perfect time to test the range of his dragon pattern. As they walk through a beautiful garden, Isha brings up that the dragon clan has been unstable, especially the Red Flame Dragon King. Roswis is visibly shocked to hear the name Constantine, her thoughts flashing to a menacing fairy dragon. Her sister explains that the hot-tempered king might be using the instability as a chance to expand his own territory. Just then, the Silver Dragon Queen freezes, her chest glowing as the dragon pattern unexpectedly activates on her body. Her eye widens in shock as she realizes what's happening to her at that precise moment. She lets out a small gasp, stumbling slightly. Her sister asks what's wrong, but she quickly dismisses it. Internally, she seethes with anger, cursing the Dragon Slayer for what he's doing to her from afar. Isha suggests strengthening border defenses, but Roswis is too distracted by the growing sensation to reply properly. The dragon pattern's effect grows stronger, and she struggles to keep her composure under its influence. Her sister finally notices her flushed face and concernedly asks if she's alright, calling her by a nickname. Struggling to keep her composure, Roswis tells her sister she has an urgent matter and will be back in 20 minutes. Isha offers to go with her, but the Silver Dragon Queen snaps back that there's no need for that before storming off. The Red Dragon Queen watches her go with a knowing smirk, realizing the young couple is just playing around with the dragon pattern. Meanwhile, Leon leans back in his chair, smugly thinking he wants to see just how long his wife can possibly endure. The door suddenly bursts open and Roswis storms. In shouting his name, he feigns surprise, asking why she's back so soon. She grabs him by the collar, furiously accusing him, choosing this moment to activate the dragon pattern just to embarrass her. The hero decides to play innocent, putting on a hurt expression as he asks if it's wrong for him to want her. His unexpected response catches her completely off guard, and her grip loosens as she stammers in confusion. The queen's face turns bright red, utterly flustered, and taken aback by his shameless yet effective counter. He thinks his plan worked, and she's disgusted by him now as she covers her mouth and stumbles backward. Calling him a shameless prisoner, she angrily tells him to put away his dirty thoughts, her face still bright red. She feels defeated, wondering why she came to deal with him only to be scared off by just a few simple words. Warning him he's lucky this time, she says she won't let it go if he does it again, while he mocks her behind her back. Leon is amazed at how powerful the dragon pattern is able to make the mighty queen so helpless with a single dirty word. But as he thinks about her face, he clutches his chest, wondering why his own heart is suddenly beating so fast. He clutches his head, telling himself to snap out of it and stop thinking about such nonsensical feelings. He then remembers his daughters are still waiting for him back in the study. One of them wonders why he hasn't returned yet. Meanwhile, at the Silver Dragon Castle gate, the Red Dragon Queen and her entourage prepare for their departure. With her visit concluded, Issue announces that it is time for her to leave, a flary aura flaring up behind her. Roswis forces a smile and waves goodbye, telling her sister to be careful on her journey back. As she transforms into her massive dragon form, Ishii insists on meeting her husband next time, and Roswis quickly agrees. The Silver Dragon Queen watches silently as her sister and the other dragons fly away into the dark night sky. Once she is finally alone, her cheerful expression disappears, replaced by a look of pure, unadulterated fury. She clenches her fists, vowing that she hasn't taught the Dragon Slayer enough of a lesson and will do so tonight. At that moment, the hero lets out a sudden sneeze while reading a book about young dragons in another room. Rubbing his nose, he wonders aloud if the Silver Dragon Queen is cursing his name from somewhere in the castle. Later, he returns to the children's room, finding both of his daughters are now fast asleep in their bed. He gently pulls the blanket over their shoulders, whispering for them not to catch a cold while they sleep. After tucking them in, he quietly tiptoes out of the room, carefully trying not to make a sound. But just as he reaches the hallway, a hand slams against the door, blocking his path and making him freeze in shock. Rosway suddenly appears, blocking his way with an icy glare. He nervously asks if her sister has already gone. The queen's eyes narrow, her expression turning serious. She tells him they still have unfinished business to attend to. Ignoring his protests, she grabs the Dragon Slayer by the arm and begins dragging him away from the children's room. Her destination is her personal bedroom, an incredibly opulent chamber decorated with gold and fine furniture. Once inside, she directs his attention to a wooden bucket on the floor, which is filled with steaming hot water. The hero looks confused as he brings the bucket over, asking her what she wants him to do with the hot water. She sits elegantly, explaining she's tired from walking all day, and commands him to wash her feet as punishment. Leon is utterly shocked by her demand, letting out a single syllable of disbelief at her audacity. The queen orders him to stop complaining and do as he is told, stating this is payback for his actions today. Defeated, he kneels down, lamenting that a famed dragon slayer has been reduced to a foot washing slave for a dragon. As he takes her foot, he thinks about how much she must enjoy this, wondering how many foes she's stepped on. Roswais notices him staring at her feet with a strange look on his face and wonders why he's being so quiet. A look of disgust crosses her face as she wonders if he has some kind of disgusting habit she's unaware of. With a mischievous grin, the hero suddenly pulls her forward, telling her to get down here and start her punishment. Her feet finally sink into the warm water, beginning the strange and humiliating task she set out for him. But as soon as her foot touches the water, she yelps that it's too hot and instinctively kicks him square in the face. The hero lets out a grunt of pain as the unexpected blow sends him reeling backward. He clutches his bleeding nose, completely caught off guard by her sudden and violent reaction. Towering over him, the queen angrily accuses him of making the water too hot on purpose to get revenge on her. But even with a nosebleed, he manages a cheeky grin, reminding her that she was the one who asked for this. The Silver Dragon Queen's eyes narrow, warning him that it seems he doesn't have a very long memory of who is in charge. To prove her point, she places her foot firmly on his shoulder, pinning him down under her power. She taunts him, asking if he ever imagined a day would come where he would be stepped on by a dragon. The hero groans under the pressure as she pushes down, easily overpowering the renowned Dragon Slayer. He weakly tells her to stop, though a strange, humiliatingly comfortable feeling washes over him. Looking down on him with a triumphant smirk, she says she wants to see just how long he can endure this treatment. The man grits his teeth, fighting the strange sensation and telling himself he cannot succumb to her tyranny. In a sudden act of defiance, he grabs her by the ankle, his hand wrapping firmly around her leg. He grins, remarking that he's eaten many types of trotters but never a dragon's, turning the tables with his words. Her smug expression vanishes, replaced by shock and embarrassment as she demands to know what he is doing. He declares that tonight's snack will be raw dragon claws and then bites down hard on her foot in retaliation. Her furious scream echoes from the castle, vowing that she is going to kill the Dragon Slayer for his insolence. The next morning, the two young daughters wake up, one of them rubbing her sleepy eyes with a big yawn. The girl notices her mother walking with a limp and asks her about it, but Roswis quickly dismisses it as nothing. Then her sister turns to their father, pointing out the fresh bruises and bandages covering his face, but he too says it's nothing. The young girl looks from her limping mother to her bruised father, clearly confused by their strange and matching injuries. Suddenly, she concludes they must have been playing a fun game without her and eagerly asks to join in next time. Later, Leon and Roswace take a forced walk through the beautiful garden just outside the Silver Dragon Castle. They walk in tense silence, keeping a noticeable distance from each other as they stroll along the stone path. Watching from afar, two maids gossip about the royal couple, commenting on how lovely they look together on a date. However, one of them notes that for a couple, the prince and queen don't seem very familiar or close with each other at all. The Silver Dragon Queen walks with a frustrated expression, clearly annoyed by this forced public outing. The hero glances back at her with a similarly irritated look, the tension between them almost palpable in the air. He wonders how things ended up like this, internally questioning the reason for this awkward situation. The scene then flashes back, revealing the specific events that happened just a short time earlier. In the flashback, Leon is baffled, questioning why he should have to go for a walk with her. The queen coldly reminds him that it is his job to maintain a false image of family harmony for outsiders. As they walk, he senses something is off. Her proactive attitude is unusual, and he wonders what she is planning. Hidden behind a tree, their daughters are spying. One whispers that their dad is too stupid to even hold their mom's hand. Mune decides to take matters into her own hands and help them, but her older sister tries to stop her. The little girl ignores her sister's plea to leave them alone and dashes out from their hiding spot. She runs happily towards her parents, calling out to them and interrupting their awkward silent stroll. The queen looks down, a bit annoyed, and asks her young daughter why she decided to follow them. Moon doesn't answer with words. Instead, she grabs both of their hands and firmly places them together. She then proudly explains that when taking a walk, people are supposed to hold hands with each other. Having completed her mission, the girl announces she's going to play with her sister and runs off, leaving Leon stunned. Back behind the tree, Noah pinches her younger sister's cheek for meddling, making her cry and apologize. The hero and the queen are left in an awkward position, forced to hold hands. She tells him to just accept it. He finds her sudden compliance uncomfortable, but she retorts that he's just not used to her being tamed. He realizes the mighty queen is shaken by this simple act, wondering if she's only strict because she can't connect with her kids. As they walk hand in hand, Leon points out that their daughters call her mother, then asks if she sees a problem with it. He explains that dad and mom are used together, but they call him dad and her the more formal mother, creating distance. Roswace looks skeptical, questioning if there is truly a significant difference between the two titles. Leon smiles, suggesting she encourage them to call her mom, instead believing it would bring them closer. The queen is visibly stunned by his suggestion, her eyes wide and a blush creeping onto her face. She quickly agrees to try it and abruptly starts walking faster, pulling him along. He asks why she's suddenly rushing. She asks if he's homesick, saying she has something to ease his feelings even if she can't let him go home. She leads him to the grand doors of the castle warehouse, a massive and ornate entrance. He looks up and asking what this place is called. She admits she never gave it a proper name. Unlocking the door, she says he can just call it a warehouse or a utility room, whatever he wants. As the doors open with a cloud of mist, she reveals that this is actually her personal dragon's treasure trove. Inside, they stand in a vast chamber filled to the brim with gold, jewels, and countless precious artifacts. Leon gasps at a bracelet that could sell for thousands, but she reveals it was a gift from her grandmother. She explains that the hoard contains not just spoils of war, but also items with deep personal meaning to her. He notes that he's only heard her speak of her sister, and she reveals they were raised by their grandmother. He remarks that his past is similar to hers, as he grew up an orphan and was adopted by his master. The dragon slayer then looks at her with suspicion, asking why she really brought him to her treasure trove. She walks towards a large ornate chest, claiming she has something that can help him forget his troubles for a while. As she opens the lid, he is stunned into silence, recognizing the legendary black gold armor stored inside. The gleaming suit of armor sits on display. The queen asks him if he's always wanted to get it back. He touches the chest in disbelief, asking if she's truly giving it to him, unable to believe his luck. A wicked smile spreads across her face as she confirms it, her eyes glinting with a sinister light. As his hand reaches out to touch the helmet, a powerful wave of magical energy suddenly explodes from the armor. A glowing dragon mark appears on the armor. He cries out, lamenting that his old companion has been corrupted. Roswace watches with a triumphant smirk, announcing that he has finally fallen right into her trap. A magical pattern appears on his chest, binding him. He furiously demands to know what she has done to him. She explains she attached an enhanced dragon pattern to the armor set to activate the moment he touched it. The hero lets out a grunt as the powerful magic surges through his body, overwhelming his defenses. Clutching his chest, he calls her a despicable dragon, admitting that he was careless to trust her. The queen savors her victory with a cruel smile, noting that the new pattern's effect has been doubled. She grabs his chin, leaning in close and mockingly asking if her dear dragon slayer can bear the overwhelming sensation. He grits his teeth, his eyes filled with defiance as he forces out her name in a pained, angry whisper. With a final burst of strength, he manages to shove her back, pushing her away from him and creating a bit of distance. He collapses against the wall, unable to move but feeling an undeniable urge growing stronger within him. She leans over him once again, taunting him by asking if he still holds a grudge against her for conquering him before. The hero admits he was planning his revenge but didn't expect to be fooled so easily by her elaborate act. With a triumphant smirk, the queen smugly asks him if her acting skills weren't convincing enough to trick him. He looks up in disbelief, asking if everything she told him about her family and holding hands was just part of her lie. The queen confirms that those things were true but coldly states it doesn't matter for what she plans to do next. She reminds him of the question he asked her earlier, the one about her desire to conquer others. Her eyes gleam with a seductive light as she looks down at him, her intentions becoming clearer. With a soft, taunting laugh, she admits that yes, she very much enjoys the thrill of conquering her foes. Leaning in close, she whispers to her dear husband, essentially asking if he is ready for what comes next. Before he can react, she bites down hard on his neck, turning the tables and leaving him utterly stunned. The scene pulls back to the castle exterior as the sounds of their intense confrontation echo from within the treasure room. After a while, the intense ordeal is finally over. The hero lies in bed crying with sheer exhaustion and relief. Lying next to him, the queen looks pleased with herself. He, on the other hand, watches her with wary suspicion. Still on edge, he quietly asks what she is doing now, not letting his guard down for a single moment. She gently caresses his chin, remarking that he now has the mature flavor of a man who has seen the vicissitudes of life. He immediately rejects her words, thinking she is trying to play another trick on him and vowing not to fall for it. The white-haired woman seems pleased by his caution, smirking and noting that he has become smarter. But her sentence isn't finished, and the single word "but" hangs in the air, causing him to tense up again. She leans in closer, whispering with a teasing smile that his physical health is not as good as it was before. The hero is completely stunned by her comment, unable to process the sudden insult to his physical condition. Her taunt continues, stating that he is clearly not in the same shape as he was in the past. The queen's words hit him repeatedly, emphasizing he is not nearly as fit as he used to be. Her final jab lands as she concludes her assessment, saying his current state is simply not as good as before. The next day, the bright morning sun shines down upon the magnificent spires of the Silver Dragon Castle. An exhausted Leon peeks out from his room, warily announcing that he is coming out to face the day. He finds Roswis waiting with their daughter Noa, who wishes him a good morning as she holds her book. The queen smirks at his exhausted state, remarking that it seems he didn't get a very good night's sleep. He angrily blames her for his lack of rest, but she just feigns ignorance, claiming she doesn't remember a thing. No floats between them with her book, and the hero sighs, internally realizing their bickering is starting all over again. Roswis reminds him the academy is strict and tells him to start tutoring their daughter on dragon knowledge today. Leaning in close, she taunts him by saying that for now, he can only demonstrate his value in other areas. The man clenches his fist in fury, rationalizing that he was just not in a good state yesterday. He points at her, vowing to make Noa pass her test, but demanding something of equal value from her in return. The queen considers his deal for a moment and agrees, but warns him that his request cannot be too excessive. With a determined gaze, the hero reminds her that a promise is a promise, officially sealing their new agreement. She sweetly tells their daughter to study hard, while Lean internally vows that the female dragon is finally done for. After she leaves, Noa asks her father why he was quarreling with her mom. He quickly brushes it off as daily communication. But the hero suddenly freezes, catching the specific word she used. He asks her to repeat what she just called her mother. The young girl looks up at him with her bright blue eyes and simply says the word "mom." He asks if her mother told her to change the name, and which one she prefers. The girl replies she likes the current one. Overjoyed by her answer, the hero smiles, warmly feeling vindicated after telling Roswis her daughters would love it. The young girl is left momentarily speechless, a slight blush creeping onto her cheeks as she holds her book. She quickly recovers, asking when they can start studying before walking off. Her father calls for her to wait. The scene shifts to the children's study room, where two cute dinosaur-like pets peek from behind a bookshelf. Later that night, the hero is still at his desk, deep in thought, as he carefully prepares a lesson plan from several books. The Silver Dragon Queen enters the study, surprised to find him still awake so late, and asks why he hasn't slept yet. He explains that because Noah is smart, a simple teaching style won't work, so he needs to create a proper lesson plan. As he works, his daughter sleeps peacefully in her bed, clutching a small green dragon plushie in her arms. The queen smugly remarks that Noah's intelligence is inevitable, since she clearly takes after her mother. However, the Dragon Slayer counters her statement with a confident smirk, implying that's not the full story. He proudly boasts that he was a genius who graduated first in both written and practical exams, winning all the top scholarships. He then turns the tables on her, asking what kind of champion she was, catching her completely off guard. Roswis is inwardly stunned, realizing she always saw him as a reckless fighter, not a top student. She scoffs, trying to regain her composure by asking how such a genius became her prisoner. He comically deflates. He sadly remembers that one misstep can lead to eternal regret, with the queen teasing him for being afraid of her. Her eyes then fall upon a plate filled with yellow chili peppers sitting on the desk, and she asks him what they are for. While the young man studies late into the night, the woman, with him, notices a small plate of snacks and asks what he's doing with it. He holds up one of the yellow items, casually explaining that he took it from the kitchen to help refresh himself and stay awake. The woman's eyes widen in shock as she warns him it's a dragon's yellow pepper and that he can't handle its heat. But it's too late. The youth has already popped it into his mouth, his cheeks puffing out as the intense spice hits him instantly. An agonizing scream tears from his throat as literal flames erupt from his mouth. The pepper is unbelievably spicy. He frantically scrambles around the room in a comical panic, desperately shouting for water, but he can't find any. Suddenly, the white-haired woman steps forward and firmly grabs his face with both of her hands, stopping his frantic search. The boy is completely stunned by her sudden closeness, and his face immediately flushes a deep red, the spiciness forgotten for a moment. She calmly tells him that her hands are cool, and that their touch will make him feel much more comfortable and soothe the burning. He closes his eyes in relief, a blissful expression on his face as her cool fingers press against his hot cheeks. The feeling isn't sharp or irritating like ice, but rather a very gentle and soothing coolness that brings him instant relief. After a moment, he stammers out a thank you. Feeling much better, she releases her grip, and they step apart. Now both of them stand in an awkward silence, blushing and clearly embarrassed by the sudden intimacy of the situation. She turns to leave, telling him to get some sleep and not eat so much chili. He sheepishly agrees as she walks away. As he watches her go, he can't help but think to himself that he secretly wanted her to keep touching his face for a little longer. He shakes his head, recalling how the white-haired woman tricked him into a corner. He admits that just thinking about it is a bit weird. Shaking off the thought, he decides he needs to find a way to help his body recover quickly from his recent exertions. He begins searching through his books, dismissing remedies like red dragon fruit and lotus grass because they are not what he needs. Then his eyes fall upon an entry for a medicine called Dragon Big Force, designed to strengthen the body by harmonizing its energies. A wide grin spreads across his face as he realizes he has finally found the perfect solution to his problem. The next morning, he finds the little girl No and tells her that he has finished correcting her test, which had a total score of. Peeking over her desk, No looks up at him with her big blue eyes and guesses that she probably scored around points. He cheerfully presents the paper, revealing that she actually scored points, which is much better than she had expected. However, instead of being happy, No clenches her fists, looking annoyed and clearly unsatisfied with her grade. The young man is surprised by her reaction, realizing that the little girl has very high standards for herself. He thinks that she should be playing carefree like other children, yet she actively chose to focus on her studies. He gently pats her on the head, reassuring her that getting points on her very first attempt is actually quite impressive. The girl looks up at him, accepts his praise with a simple thanks, and then suggests they focus on her mistakes. But just as they're about to review the test, the young man suddenly coughs, covering his mouth. He apologizes, thinking that his throat is itchy. He realizes it must be because he ate even more chili peppers the previous night. Roswisi's spirit tells Noah that her father was making a study plan for her, admitting that he's a top student despite his flaws. She adds that he ate the Dragon Clan's spicy pepper to stay awake, so it's no wonder his throat is bothering him now. At that moment, Noah pushes a small ornate container across the table, quietly telling the young man that it is for him. He looks up in surprise, asking if she means it's for him. She quickly clarifies that her mother wanted him to have it. He smiles warmly and asks her to thank her mother for him, thinking that Noah is just like her mom, kind underneath a cold surface. Renewed spirit, he declares it's time to continue learning, and Noah agrees. Their bond seems to be getting closer. Meanwhile, in the kitchen of the Silver Dragon Castle, another scene unfolds as preparations for a difficult task begin. Two maids bring a tray of various herbs to a man they call the Lord Prince, who instructs them to put everything on the table. The prince thinks to himself that he asked for extra herbs to keep the maids from guessing what he was truly planning to concoct. He considers the recipe for Dragon Great Force. The ingredients are simple, but even the best pharmacists of the Dragon Clan struggle with it. He begins the process by carefully grinding the chosen herbs together using a traditional mortar and pestle. After grinding them into a fine powder, he pours the mixture into a pot and begins boiling it in order. But a few hours later, the prince leans back in frustration. He has failed again, admitting the process is not easy at all. He looks at his failed mixture, recalling how he followed the book's instructions several times but always failed at the final step. The problem is the separation method. The book's high temperature inactivates the drug, but low temperatures can't purify it. He realizes it's impossible to achieve separation by just shaking the flask. He needs a better method to separate the medicinal residue. At that moment, a powerful bolt of lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating the dark, stormy clouds outside the window. Prince notices the thunder, realizing a storm is brewing. He sits for a moment, still holding the failed concoction. An idea begins to form as he walks to the open window, looking out at the storm and muttering about the lightning and thunder. Suddenly, his eyes widen in realization. He remembers his alchemy teacher mentioning that electrolysis could be more effective than roasting. He thinks that maybe he can use the thunder element, an idea not found in the book. He's best at lightning magic even with low power. He decides to try it, believing his current magic is enough for such a subtle manipulation. Blue energy soon envelopes the flask. Just half an hour later, his experiment is a success. He holds up a perfectly formed dark pill against a glowing background. A smug smile appears on his face as he examines the finished product, thinking the Dragon Clan's medicine was simple to make after all. Just then, a small voice asks what he is making. It's the little girl No, peeking curiously over the edge of the table. The prince freezes for a second, clearly surprised by her sudden and silent appearance in the kitchen. He panics for a moment, shouting her name as he instinctively tries to hide the pill from her view. Trying to act casual, he tells her it's nothing, but she points at his hand and asks if he's holding a piece of candy. He smiles and clarifies that it's not candy but medicine that he specifically prepared for her mother. Hearing this, the girl looks concerned and immediately asks if her mom is sick, worried about her well-being. He reassures the girl that her mom isn't sick, just busy, so he made her some nourishment. He internally admits he made it for himself. The little girl gives him a thumbs up, enthusiastically telling her dad that he must take very good care of her mom. He agrees that it's a dad's duty, while internally vowing that he will indeed take good care of her once he has fully recovered his strength. Later that night, a fierce storm rages on with heavy rain pouring down on the massive castle building. Back in his room, the youth lies in bed holding the pill he created. He wonders if it might have negative side effects on a human. Deciding it's best to be cautious, he clenches his fist and resolves to set the medicine aside for now. But just as he makes his decision, a sudden knock on his bedroom door echoes through the room, catching him off guard. The door opens and the white-haired woman enters. He sits up in shock, asking Her Majesty why she has come to his room. She smirks, explaining that she heard from Noo that he had made her a special medicine that looked like a piece of chocolate candy. The prince is completely flustered, thinking to himself that his little secret was exposed far too quickly. She floats closer, telling him not to be nervous. She says she's just surprised he could make medicine in such a simple environment. Leaning in with an inquisitive look, she asks to see what it is that he managed to refine with his limited tools. He reluctantly hands over the box, figuring that she would probably just use violence to take it from him if he refused. She opens it and seems impressed, telling him he's amazing for refining a perfect dragon great force under such conditions. The young man is stunned by her praise. He can't believe that she isn't laughing at his efforts and actually complimented him. She hands the box back, telling him he can keep it, but sternly warns him not to take the medicine right now. The young man is taken aback by her sudden command and immediately asks for her reasoning, looking completely confused. The woman explains that as a tonic designed for the dragon race, it is far too potent for a mere human body to handle. With a serious expression, she kindly reminds him that as a human he simply cannot withstand the immense power contained within the pill. But he scoffs at her, boasting that he has defeated countless dragon kings and can surely handle one small pill. He tells her not to underestimate him. Ignoring her warning completely, he defiantly swallows the pill in a single gulp, determined to prove her wrong. He stands up proudly, declaring that courage is the ultimate hymn of mankind, ready to face whatever comes next. The Silver Dragon Queen looks on, speechless, as he suddenly clutches his chest. The pill's effects are already starting to hit him. His eyes widen in pure shock as an overwhelming surge of untamed energy violently courses through his entire body. Annoyed, she kicks him onto the bed, complaining that she's barely ever had to use healing magic before, and he's forcing her hand. She pins him down and places her hand on him, asking how he feels, while preparing to try and break down the pill's powerful effects. However, the energy is too strong. She struggles against the surge, shouting at him not to move while she tries to contain it. Gritting his teeth the pain, he tells the queen to witness the true courage and determination of humankind. A massive wave of brilliant blue energy erupts from the room, lighting up the castle against the dark, stormy night sky. He lets out an agonizing scream as the overwhelming power completely engulfs him, with the woman watching helplessly from the side. The Dragon Queen is stunned, wondering why he's recklessly using lightning magic on his own body. The young man lets out a grunt as the lightning crackles around him, the energy stabilizing as he endures the overwhelming power. She rushes to his side, calling his name in alarm as he collapses back onto the bed, the lightning finally subsiding. As she holds him, she thinks to herself that he truly is a madman for pulling such a reckless stunt. She gently lays him down and tells him to wait there while she goes to get the court physician for help. But just as she turns to leave, her hand is suddenly grabbed. She looks back in complete surprise, her eyes wide. The young man with a flushed face and dazed expression has grabbed her by her tail, preventing her from leaving. She looks at him in utter disbelief, demanding to know how he managed to do that while he was supposedly unconscious. With a goofy grin, he happily asks his wife if, where she thinks she is going, hugging her tail tightly. The woman is completely flustered by his words, blushing as she angrily asks him who he is calling his wife. He playfully refuses to let her go while she struggles to break free from his grip, telling him to release her at once. While he continues to call her his wife, she wonders if the lightning magic somehow altered the medicine's effects. She reasons that he just looks like an idiot for now, so his life probably isn't in any immediate danger. Finally giving in, she tells him that she is here and asks him what is wrong, trying to calm him down. He looks at her with a wide innocent smile and boldly declares that what he wants from her is a second child. The Silver Dragon Queen is left completely speechless and blushing, utterly shocked by his bold and unexpected request. He continues to ask for a second child, but she scolds him, saying he can't even take care of their first 2 children. She puts a hand to her forehead in exasperation, deciding it's probably better to just play along with him to avoid any more complications. She agrees to more kids, but he says she must go to his hometown. She tells him they'll go later once things have settled down. Hearing this, he cheers with delight while she thinks to herself that he is even more annoying than he usually is. He then tells his wife that she's so nice and leans in close, trying to give her a kiss as thanks. She quickly stops him by holding his face, telling him not to take advantage of the situation and wondering when the medicine will wear off. But his persistence pushes her over the edge. Finally fed up, she calls him an idiot and lands a solid punch right on his face. After knocking him out cold on the bed, she looks down at him and admits to herself that she couldn't help but hit him. Her anger quickly fades into concern as she leans over his unconscious body and softly asks if he is okay. He begins to stir, clutching his shirt and groaning that he feels a little uncomfortable. Suddenly, she senses a strange energy fluctuation and notices a glowing purple pattern manifesting on her own chest. She realizes a similar dragon pattern has appeared on his chest as well, wondering why it decided to activate at this exact moment. Before she can react, his hand shoots out and grabs her arm with surprising strength, his eyes still closed. He pulls her down onto the bed, pinning her beneath him. As he cries out that he feels terrible, she yells at him, asking what he's doing. He pants, complaining that he feels hot all over and his chest is incredibly itchy from the sudden surge of energy. The woman realizes the dragon pattern mixed with his lightning magic has amplified his primal urges far beyond what she expected. She grits her teeth, a deep blush on her face, as she tries to endure the overwhelming and intensely awkward situation. He then starts sniffing her tail, telling her it smells wonderful. She worries about what will happen if she can't stop him. She finally snaps, flipping him over and pinning him down. She angrily tells him to get off her, scolding him about her tail. But suddenly he stops, struggling, his abrupt change in behavior catching her completely by surprise. He looks up at her with a gentle gaze, telling her that she looks incredibly beautiful tonight, his tone now sincere. His sudden compliment flusters her. She finds this new intense attitude is something she can't bring herself to reject. She looks into his eyes. She admits to herself that she feels a small, surprising flicker of anticipation for what might come next. He softly pleads for his wife to help him. After a tense moment, she reluctantly agrees, but just for this one night. With her consent, the two of them finally give in to the passionate and overwhelming energy of the moment. The next morning, the sun rises over the beautiful white castle, a calm and peaceful scene after the stormy night. Inside one of the castle's bedrooms, the young man slowly begins to stir, letting out a wary groan as he returns to consciousness. He opens his eyes to find the queen lying right beside him under the covers. She calmly asks him if he has woken up. He jolts up in absolute shock, screaming as he demands to know why she is in his bed, the memories of the night flooding back to him. The next morning, the young man wakes up shirtless and confused, complaining that his entire body aches. His memories of the previous night are hazy and fragmented, leaving him to wonder what could have possibly happened. Getting dressed, the woman smirks at him, asking if he really can't remember anything, and points to the marks on her back. He stares in absolute shock at the numerous hickeys covering her skin, horrified as he realizes he might be responsible for them. Suddenly, embarrassing flashbacks of his overly bold and affectionate behavior from the night before flood his mind. The full weight of his actions finally hits him, and he lets out a scream of pure horror, clutching his head in his hands. She continues to tease him, asking if he remembers how he desperately begged her to be with him the previous night. He cringes as his own pleas from the night before echo in his head, begging her for help, Cone last time. Unable to take any more, he shouts for her to stop, insisting that he remembers everything now and doesn't need the reminder. He thinks about how he only made the pill to teach her a lesson, never expecting the drug to be quite so effective. He turns to her and apologizes, admitting that he went a little too far the night before. She calmly tells him it's okay. The youth smirks confidently, saying now she knows he's in good health and shouldn't doubt his stamina again. She looks at him with a thoughtful and slightly amused expression, her purple eyes glinting with a new kind of interest. But then she suddenly moves and closes her intimidating presence, making him stammer in surprise as he backs away. Holding his chin, she tells him she was very satisfied with his performance and hopes he can keep it up in the future. He's completely baffled by her comment, wondering if he's suddenly been demoted to a member of the service industry. The queen then calmly changes the subject, reminding him about their bet concerning the changing of a name. She admits that he won the bet and asks if he has given any thought to the request he would like to make. Leaning back with a confident smile, he confirms that he has indeed thought about it quite a bit. His expression turns serious as he asks if she could send someone to the Empire to check on his master and his wife for him. She explains that while silver dragons aren't skilled at stealth, a simple visit is no issue. He starts to thank her overjoyed. But his gratitude is cut short by a sudden cough, and he has to clear his throat before thanking her for her help. The scene then transitions to the beautiful sunlit garden of the Silver Dragon Castle filled with blooming flowers. Here the young man sits with Noa. She looks up from her art supplies with concern and asks her dad if he is sick. He quickly denies it, looking flustered as he asks her why she would think such a thing. Noa explains that her mom told her he took the medicine himself, adding that men aren't supposed to admit they're sick. He grits his teeth in silent fury, mortified that the queen would tell a child such a thing and ruin his dignity. As Noa wonders if the medicine was too weak, he bites his lip so hard it starts to bleed, which she points out in alarm. Thinking the worst, the little girl immediately panics and hugs him tightly, sobbing for her dad not to die. Completely overwhelmed, the youth can only try to comfort his crying daughter, reassuring her that he is really fine. While holding his daughter, he thinks that she is just like her mother, especially in how merciless she can be sometimes. To distract her from her worrying, he offers to make her a brand new toy, an idea which she immediately loves. He gets to work carefully, using his knowledge of mechanics to assemble a colorful cube-shaped puzzle. He presents the finished toy to Noa, explaining that it's a Rubik's Cube that she can twist and turn as she pleases. He muses about learning these principles in his alchemy class, never expecting to use them to babysit his own child. Suddenly he looks up, a sense of unease washing over him as he feels an unexpected presence nearby. He looks out into the garden, trying to pinpoint the source of the feeling he just experienced. Noa notices his sudden change in demeanor and asks him what's wrong, but he quickly assures her that it's nothing. He thinks he felt the gaze of a dragon coming from the direction of Noa's physical training area. Seeing his daughter engrossed in her painting, he decides to make another toy for his other child as well. Later that night, as the younger child sleeps peacefully, Noa quietly peeks into the room to check on her. She places the Rubik's Cube on the bedside table along with a note telling her to find a way to restore it. Although she initially dismisses the puzzle as a children's toy, she picks it up, her curiosity getting the better of her. She begins to twist and turn the cube, becoming engrossed in the simple yet challenging mechanics of the puzzle. A small, genuine smile appears on her face as she holds the cube, grateful for the thoughtful gift from her dad. Moon has noticed her sister Noa acting strangely, secretly hiding a box under her bed without telling anyone what is inside. Dressed as a detective, she decides to investigate. She sneaks in to see what her sister is hiding while she's away. Inside, Moon finds a Rubik's Cube, fragments from their dad's armor, and a paper with Noa's full name written by him. As she looks over the collection of items, the young girl realizes that every single thing in the box is related to their dad. With a knowing smile, Moon finally understands her quiet and reserved sister actually cares very deeply about their father. But her snooping doesn't go unnoticed. Noa catches her in the act, ties her up, and sternly tells her, "No peeking." This academy is an exclusive aristocratic college for the Dragon Clan with extremely strict admission standards. It operates on the belief that only students from harmonious and loving families can become truly qualified young dragons. To create this illusion, the Silver Dragon Queen has decided to take the entire family on an outing to Sky City for a photo. She transforms into her majestic dragon form, soaring through the sky with the rest of her family riding on her back. As they land, the father sees Moon sliding down their mother's back and tells her to slow down, offering to carry her down. Now safely in his arms, the little girl asks her dad why he didn't turn into a dragon, saying she really wanted to see it. He laughs nervously, explaining that while he is very good at slaying dragons, actually turning into one is something he can't do. Noa, standing nearby, looks up at him with a disappointed pout, asking if he really can't transform at all. Cornered by his wife and daughters, the young man struggles to find and answer, his soul visibly leaving his body under the pressure. The queen steps in to save him, explaining that his body hasn't recovered yet, so he can't transform, but will show them when he is better. His daughter tells him to get well soon. He agrees to try his best, though he secretly knows that transforming is impossible for him. With the matter now settled, the queen declares it's time for them to head into town to get their family photo taken. The family stands before the magnificent gates of Sky City, a bustling metropolis inhabited entirely by powerful dragons. The two young girls run ahead, excitedly marveling at all the dragons around them, while their father tells them to slow down. But as he stands amidst the crowd, the father suddenly begins to shake uncontrollably, a dark aura surrounding him. The queen notices his trembling, assuming he's overwhelmed seeing so many dragons for the first time since waking from his coma. With a teasing smirk, she leans in close and whispers, asking the famous dragon slayer if he is finally feeling scared. To her surprise, he looks up with a wide grin, denying that he's scared and proudly declaring that he is actually very excited. He's not seeing dragons, but walking bags of money. The merits above their heads mean he's about to get incredibly rich. The queen facepalms, realizing she worried for nothing. Meanwhile, he stretches, dreaming of the fortune he could make. A small bell jingles as they enter a building, the presumed location for their family portrait session. A friendly shopkeeper with a dragon tail greets them, warmly honored to welcome the Silver Dragon Queen and her family. Inside, the girls look at the many dragon photos on the wall as the family prepares for their official portrait. He asks the queen why she has to come to the photo store in person. She explains her authority doesn't extend to Sky City's unaffiliated dragons. The young man smirks, teasingly commenting that her status as a queen seems a bit low if she can't command everyone. But he quickly learns his lesson when the queen, without a word, stumps her sharp heel right onto his foot. While he writhes in pain, she lets out a small "Uch" before composing herself and retorting that anyway she's taller than him. The shopkeeper diffuses the tension, saying it's an honor to take their photo. The queen adds that her skills are said to be top-notch. The older woman then points out the hero's lack of a tail, but the queen covers for him, saying he dislikes showing it and needs a tailless suit. A flashback reveals he had fiercely refused to wear a fake dragon tail decoration, declaring it was a matter of his dignity. The shopkeeper understands and leads the queen and the girls to the dressing room, with Muen excitedly asking for a nice dress. After a short while, the two girls emerge looking adorable in their new matching white and purple dresses, sparkling with happiness. Then their father steps out looking sharp in a handsome white suit. Muen gasps, exclaiming how great her dad looks. The shopkeeper agrees the suit is a great fit, adding it was a popular style. He notes the last time he wore a suit was for graduation. He then turns to his other daughter, Noah, and asks her what she thinks of his formal attire. With a slight blush, the quiet girl looks up at him and admits that yes, he does look quite handsome. Pleased with their reactions, he smiles and pats both his daughters on the head, telling them that their skirts are cute too. With everyone else ready, the dressing room curtain moves, signaling that it is finally the queen's turn to reveal her outfit. The queen finally emerges in a stunning black dress with purple accents, and her daughter Muen immediately exclaims how beautiful she is. The young man is left completely speechless, blushing as he stares at her, clearly captivated by her elegant appearance. She asks what he's looking at. He quickly recovers and stammers that the dress suits her very well. She then teases him, saying it would be nice if he had a tail, but he scoffs, adamantly refusing to ever wear a fake one. The girls call out to their parents from across the room, telling them to hurry up so they can finally take the family picture. The shopkeeper gets behind her old-fashioned camera, instructing Her Majesty and the prince to move closer together for the shot. However, the two of them look visibly reluctant, and the hero even mutters under his breath that he doesn't want to get closer. Despite their hesitation, they manage to strike a pose. The girls smile brightly while their parents look on with stiff expressions. The resulting photos look surprisingly good, with the shopkeeper noting that in some shots they really look like a genuine couple. After the photoshoot, a crowd of women immediately swarms the handsome hero, asking for photos and showering him with gifts. He quickly comes up with a bizarre excuse, claiming he needs to go back to nail hooves for his master's donkey. As he walks away, leaving the women heartbroken, a nearby elder wonders aloud if the young man was kicked in the head by a donkey. Back at the studio, the shopkeeper tells the queen the photos will take 6 hours to develop, suggesting they take a stroll. With plenty of time to kill, the family leaves the photo studio to explore the sights of the bustling Sky City. The two sisters run ahead, excitedly eager to explore the city's market, while their parents follow them at a more leisurely pace. As they walk through the city, the man comments that he never thought he would go shopping, with her calling it a new experience. She replies that this is all to maintain their family image for Noah, who takes her entrance exam very seriously and deserves a break. Their conversation is interrupted when they both notice something up ahead, their expressions turning to ones of annoyance. Their daughters are at a shooting game stall where the owner says it's a pity they can't win, but they'd surely hit if they just tried more. Mune spots the shooting game and excitedly calls out to her father, wanting him to come over and see. No pouts, frustrated that she can't hit the targets. Meanwhile, her dad realizes the game is probably rigged so people can't win. The queen explains the toy gun requires precise magical control, making it hard for Noah. The hero recognizes the gun from the human market. The shopkeeper then challenges the parents, offering a prize if they can hit all the balloons, secretly planning to make them spend a lot of money.